Good morning. Welcome to the episode of HardFoul. It is Friday, July 7th. Hope you guys are getting ready to have an awesome weekend. I know I am. Hope you guys, I always tell you guys, go out, have fun, have a few drinks if you're into that. Or if you're not, have some good, clean, sober fun. Always helps. Balance the world out because, Lord knows I don't have balance even though I should. Let's see. I feel really good today, you guys. Let me just start by saying that I got my water, got my coffee. I'm really alive and vibrant right now. Like, I just feel good about today. I feel good about this show. Like I said, I felt so bad about Monday, and it's because there just wasn't passion on Monday. But my passion's back, my enthusiasm's back, and I'm ready to go. So let's get it ready. Let's get it started. Once again, however you are listening, on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, please go subscribe to the YouTube channel, go subscribe to the iTunes podcast, go subscribe to the SoundCloud podcast. All that stuff, all that support helps. I think right now, between the three, I'm somewhere around 100. I'm really loving it right now, you guys. Like, the passion is here and we're getting results. It might be slow, but we are getting results, and that is thanks to you guys. Let's get right into it. That was so funny saying let's get right into it when I just had a monologue before getting right into it. But let's get right into it. So I always make a lot of business analogies on this show. It's because I like to think that I know business pretty well. I worked pretty in the circle of one growing up as my first job with my grandfather. And I've done a lot of study and research in business. Now, nothing about this show is college educated. I'm wearing the shirt today, highly educated, but trust me, I got almost zero college experience. But my study is as good as anyone who's got a 4.0, anyone who's taken 12 units at some big time university. I put in my time, I put in my hours, I study really hard. And business is one of those things that I study really hard. I've learned, I think everyone actually learns, if you are in a business, whether you are in the management circle, you are simply an employee, like you could be a basic employee, right? Like you could be what do you call them for the grocery stores, the runners? You could be one of those guys. And you will learn pretty quickly into your job experience, the customer is not always right. We're told the customer is always right. The customer really just pays the bills, but they are not always right. The customer actually, fun fact, you don't even have to be, you don't have to have them even be happy necessarily. There's three things you really need to keep happy in this world if you're in a business. Your partners, your owners, and your employees. Keep these three things happy, I guarantee you your business will skyrocket. You know what does that as well as anybody? And out of all the sports leagues, you know who does it the best? It's not baseball. Because Lord knows those employees are, they have the baseball union, they are so strong and adamant because they routinely are getting screwed, or their players and clients are routinely getting screwed by the league. So it's not baseball. The NFL, the partnership's not there. The advertising, there's all kinds of issues with advertising. Guys want to put advertising logos and decals on the helmets. Like the NFL is as great as a product as it is. It's not all there right now. They are not clicking on all terms. The NBA is the absolute best sports league, best ran sports league in America. Think about this. Like I said, you keep three things happy. You keep your partners happy, your owners happy, and your employees. And if those three things are happy, the customers take care of themselves. Let's start with the partners, right? What's a big partner when you're in a sports league? Your advertisers. Well, advertising's at an all-time high for the NBA. While the NFL is having issues with, well, do we want to put extra decals and advertising logos like NASCAR in the players' helmets? Do we want to, how do we want to improve the brand of the NFL while letting these guys celebrate? what was one of the biggest things we heard throughout the season in the NBA? We heard, oh my gosh, ESPN and TNT are furious with their TV deals because stars were sitting out games and they were not able to get the ROI, return on investment, that they thought they should be getting for signing these huge TV deals. And then the NBA, not their fault, but not able to put the product that these TV sponsors wanted out there. Well, as bad as that is for the TV sponsors, the NBA just linked record deals with ESPN, TNT, even their even NBA TV. I know they're about to re-up on a new deal here in a year or two. They just got all-time great deals, like bigger than they've ever had in the history of the sport. And not just, everyone always says, well, you got to adjust for inflation. No, you don't even have to adjust for inflation in this. They have the best TV deals they've ever had in the history of that sport. I think the NFL has a slightly bigger overall TV deal, but the NFL itself is a bigger product, but the NBA is better ran. Let's look at the owners. I'm going to just use this as my only example for the owners because this is the only one I think I really need. Scratch that. We're going to go owners last because I think this is an important thing to say before I get to the owners. Employees. Do you know what it's like to be an employee in the NBA right now? If you're an employee in the NBA, you could be a mid-level guy. So take grocery store and say runners at the bottom of the food chain, say a cashier is next, and then you've got a manager. Not a service manager or a district manager, a big-time one, but just an average manager. He's in charge of just making sure, not so much deciding what happens, but just making sure the guys below him are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They have rank. Those guys in the NBA right now are signing huge deals. I'm not one to count someone's money, but when Kelly Olynyk gets 4 years for $50 million from the Miami Heat, when Otto Porter's getting 4 years, $103 million or $104 million from the Kings, Zach Randolph at 36, and Zach Randolph deserved every bit of his money, but he would not have had this kind of money 5-10 years ago, is getting 2 years for $24 million. You have guys that are, and I don't want to use Zach Randolph for this analogy, I apologize, but you have guys that are basic managers or mid-level employees getting paid top dollar. I think it's pretty good to be an employee in the NBA right now. Owners, my last point. Let's look at the New England Patriots and the Golden State Warriors. Robert Kraft bought the Patriots for $172 million. They are now worth $1.5 billion. Okay? Everyone would tell you that, all the sports or all the franchises are increasing in money. Everyone's made 5-6 times what they invested. Well, yes, but this is why there's 1%ers and there's just really rich people. Like, I don't think $100 million gets you in the 1% class, but you're really rich. The Warriors were bought for $450 million 7 years ago, are now worth $2.6 billion. I want you to think about that for a second. Less time. Robert Kraft bought the Patriots in 96, 97. Or I'm sorry, it was even a few years before that. It was early 90s. He's had 20 years as the owner of that franchise. They've gone up about a little over $1.3 billion. The Golden State Warriors in a 7-year span have gone up $2.2 billion. Plus that, over $2.2 billion. And I use these two as my examples. And if you want to go really compare team for team, The low end teams in the NBA are marking up at a higher rate than low end teams in the NFL. The mid level teams are marking up at a higher rate than the mid level teams in the NFL. Take these two teams. These are about is the top of the top. Because everyone's just going to tell you, oh, well, the reason the Warriors are improving in value so much is because they've won 2 of the last 3 finals. They have Steph Curry, who's been the MVP twice. They added Kevin Durant. Of course they're going to go up. Well, wait, didn't Tom Brady and the Patriots just win their 2nd out of 3 Super Bowls? Isn't Tom Brady won 5 Super Bowls in the time Robert Kraft's owned them? Aren't they the most dominant team in the last 20 years? Isn't Tom Brady the greatest player of all time with multiple MVPs? Didn't they set a record for the most points in the season, even though it's been top since then? Oh, yeah, they have. And they still haven't improved in value or marked up in value as much as the Golden State Warriors. That says something. Reason why I wanted to end on the owners going up in value and specifically the Warriors and the Patriots, because they're my segue into my next segment. Love segues. Gotta love them. The Warriors and Patriots, once again, keeping in line with our business theme for today. It's Business Friday, I guess. They're really well ran. And I know this sounds really cliche, and I apologize for the cliche. But they are just really well. Sometimes you run out of adjectives and superlatives to give a company or to give a person or to give a product. Like, you know, I could say all day, the iPhone is great. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's better than Android. It's all this. It's the greatest thing ever. Eventually, I will run out of terms for it. And that's what we're about to start doing with the Patriots and Warriors. So there's a quote that I heard a while back, and it just always made sense to me. It wasn't even something that's like, oh, that speaks to me, or oh, that's so mind-blowing. It's just true. In business, you can keep up with your competition. And that works for if you're a small business. But keep improving or your competition passes you. If you can't see anyone behind you, that's because they already passed you. Think about that for a second. If you are in any form of business, whether you are at the top being an owner, you are a manager in a business, you are an employee in a business. If you're not doing more and not improving yourself, you are deemed replaceable. And or if you're not replaced, somebody will just pass you and make you unnecessary. Why did Blockbuster fail? Because they stood pat with the model design and Netflix took over and Netflix had a better design, was able to reach more people, a better product. It's called creative destruction. They put them out of business. Why do most teams not repeat? Because the other 29, 30 businesses in their league are trying to get better. And if they don't get if they don't improve themselves just as much as the other teams do, they get passed. They're left behind. It's really simple. Most times you need some luck to go your way. Whether you're in a business, you're in sports, you're in life. There is such a thing as right place, right time. You know, MySpace was not the best optimized or best ran program we've ever had or product we've ever had. But it was right place, right time. It was new. It was creative. And it worked. Facebook was a much better product, was much better optimized, and overall was superior. Facebook took it, ran with the ball, kept going. Facebook didn't necessarily need its right time and right place. MySpace did. Because MySpace had right time and right place, MySpace kind of stood pat, and Facebook passed it. Most teams, they win a title, they try to maybe re-sign one or two other guys, let the others go to free agency and go, okay, well, we brought our core back, most of our guys, well, we should be good. And they get beat the next year. Let's look at what both the Patriots and Warriors did this offseason. I'm going to list off some names. For the Patriots, Brandon Cooks, Stephen Gilmore, Dante Hightower, Coney Ely, Dwayne Allen, and Alan Branch. These are guys that were re-signed plus added through free agency. The Warriors, Steph Curry, re-signed. Kevin Durant, re-signed. Andre Iguodala, re-signed. Sean Livingston, re-signed. Omri Caspi, Nick Young, and Bell out of Oregon, acquired through free agency and are drafted. That is not only keeping up with the competition, which in some cases competition is yourself. That is advancing and moving past your competition. And you were already in the lead. I was going to talk about just how dominant the Warriors, how I've more or less given up some hope that someone's going to stop them the next 2 to 3 years. They've basically, I hate to say bought, but they've basically bought their way to the next 2 or 3 titles. And I get it. They have 3 homegrown players, and that's great, good, and dandy. And Sean Livingston's been there for a while. It's great, good, and dandy. But they're still now buying and putting their way past the competition, which is fine. Sometimes that just happens. You know why it's really hard to deal with Microsoft and Apple? And that's what the Patriots and Warriors are. It's because not only are they in first place, they have more money and more assets to stay in first place. And they're putting smarter people, better people, more efficient people to not only stay attacked, but to grow. And they keep their people. Apple kept Steve Jobs. Apple was not going to let Steve Jobs go. The only person who was able to take Steve Jobs away was God himself. It's the only person who was able to take Steve Jobs away from Apple. Steve Ballmer. They weren't going to let him go. He ended up only moving on simply due to he earned enough money to go buy an NBA team, and thus he just found a better financial situation. We'll call it that. If you're not improving, someone will pass you. If you don't see them, it's because they're already in front of you. I hope you guys don't mind these pauses in between segments. I need to take a drink of water or get some coffee in me. And, it's kind of hard. I'm doing this pretty early in the morning, so trying my best out here. Once again, like I've said, you guys, hope you guys are all plan on having a great weekend. Hope everything goes well for you guys. And yeah. So next thing I want to get into, and I really I didn't talk about it on Wednesday. That was the Gordon Hayward situation. I heard all day on the news. It was like, oh, he's going to sign with Boston. Oh, no, that's fake news or a fake report. And, oh, now he's signing with Boston because it was actually a report, but someone didn't want it to come out when he said, and he wanted to wait till later, or whatever happened. I don't know anymore. You know why I didn't talk about Gordon Hayward signing with the Celtics? I didn't care. And I don't think most of you cared. Here's the thing. When you are trying to... I hate talking about things that don't have substance. I don't want to just sit there and I've commented on them before, like at the Kentucky Derby, where the headlines were, "What are the players wearing? What are the stars and celebrities wearing?" Had nothing to do with the actual event, right? It was dull. It was boring. It was not a good story. I didn't talk about it. The actual Kentucky Derby. Didn't talk about Gordon Hayward because all Gordon Hayward did was make the Celtics the most boring team in basketball. I've talked about it before. You can be good and boring. You can be bad and exciting. You can't be bad and boring. Like, it just doesn't work. And the immediate, comeback is going to be, oh, well, they were the second seed in the East, or they were the first seed in the East. They're not bad. They were kind of bad. Did you really feel you're not a number one seed if you can't actually compete in the Eastern Conference Finals? You had home court for the entire thing, and you struggled with Washington. You got destroyed by the Cavs. And if Rondo didn't get hurt, you probably would have lost in the first round to the Bulls. They're not bad in terms of, they're not what the Sacramento Kings were. They're not what the New Jersey Nets are. But they're still not good. And the synonym for not good is bad. But regardless of bad, that's not what we're here to argue. Gordon Hayward is boring. Look, there's 5 ways to really be exciting in basketball. There's dunks. There's now 3-point shooting thanks to Steph Curry. There is blocks. There is fancy passing assists. And there's scoring. And let me tell you why Gordon Hayward is so boring in all 5 of these categories. You can be exciting with dunks. DeAndre Jordan's exciting. Blake Griffin, when he came into the league, was the most exciting player in probably the last 20 years because he could dunk. Gordon Hayward had 68 dunks last year, which is less than 1 a game. Okay. 3-point shooting. Steph Curry has created this craze about 3-point shooting. Everyone loves to see the 3 go in now. Kids are shooting 3s instead of trying to dunk. And it's exciting for the league. Like the NBA Finals, despite the scores, it was exciting basketball. Gordon Hayward's an okay 3-point shooter. He makes 2 a game. Block shots. Dikembe Mutombo, despite almost no offense, became a household name and was exciting because he could block the shot. He could block the basketball. Hasheem Thabeet, coming out of college, who's one of the biggest busts of all time, was exciting because he could block the basketball. Anthony Davis, coming out of Kentucky, getting 4 or 5 blocks a game. Oh my gosh, what can he do at the next level? Gordon Hayward gets 0.3. Passing. Magic Johnson, Chris Paul, even LeBron, like these guys who could make these crazy passes, were flashy passes. It was exciting. Hayward gives you 3.5 assists, and I don't think I've seen him on SportsCenter top 10 for a pass once. Scoring, the most fundamental form of excitement. Like, guys, you could use basic and below star level guys. Nick Young just signed with the Warriors. You know why Nick Young's exciting? Because he can score. Why is a guy like Kevin Durant exciting? Because he can score. Gordon Hayward, yeah, he scores 22 points a game, but he's not an exciting scorer. These are the guys that Gordon Hayward scores like. Rip Hamilton, LaMarcus Aldridge, David West. Now, when I say he's boring, it doesn't mean he's a bad player. Rip Hamilton was a good player. LaMarcus Aldridge is a good player. David West is a good player. Tim Duncan was one of the most boring players ever, and he's a top 5-10 player all time. But he's still boring. Like, that doesn't change you. Just because you're good doesn't mean that you're not boring. The most exciting player I've seen in the last 15 years is Kobe Bryant. Talk about him a lot on this show. You know why Kobe was exciting? Think about those 5 things they just said. Kobe could dunk the ball, especially early in his career, was probably the most electrifying dunker in the league. Three-point shooting, while he was not a great three-point shooter, he was one of the streakiest three-point shooters, and that got you excited. Was he going to go on a run tonight? Was this going to be the night he went 9 of 11, 9 of 12 from 3? Kobe has, you don't think of Kobe as a shot blocker, but there's videos on YouTube. Go check them out. That are Kobe Bryant blocking every NBA superstar. Kobe Bryant blocking this Hall of Famer. Kobe Bryant best blocks on every NBA team. Like, Kobe's blocks when he's not even known as a shot blocker. Great defensive player, but not known as a shot blocker. Are highlights and excitement. Assists. No, did Kobe pass the ball? I think Kobe's a slightly underrated passer. He did average over 5 a game for his career, but he made highlight kind of passes. I want you to realize Kobe made highlight passes to guys like Ronnie Turioff, DJ Banga. Like, Kobe made highlight passes to Sasha Vujacic. Gosh, every time I have to think of Sasha Vujacic. And then, of course, scoring. There was not a more electrifying scorer than Kobe Bryant. He was Michael Jordan with a jump shot, the most electrifying scorer we've seen since Jordan himself. And I'd even be willing to make a case he's even more exciting a scorer than Jordan. I'm probably alone in that argument. But gosh, Gordon Hayward is just boring. And so is Al Horford. Al Horford fits every one of these descriptions too. And he's 6'9" and can't play center. The Celtics, you're just boring. You're going to lose again in the Eastern Conference Finals or even maybe the semifinals. You're just boring. So the player I have to talk about, because I've talked about this team a lot. I've talked about this guy being replaced, basically. I've talked about his position. That's Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday just received a contract extension with the Pelicans. He officially signed it yesterday. And it was for 5 years, $125 million, right? Like, and let me say something here really quick. I've made videos talking about Chris Paul should go back to the Pelicans. John Wall should go to the Pelicans. Go check those out. I still think they're really cool. And so I guess I gave up this perception that I don't like Drew Holiday or Drew Holiday's a bad player. No. Do I think Chris Paul and John Wall are better than Drew Holiday? Yes, because I have 2 eyes and have some common sense. They're better players than him. Chris Paul's an all-time great point guard, and John Wall's the best pure point guard we still have in the league. Like, yeah, he does score, but he is a 20-10 pure point guard. Drew Holiday is still a good player. Do I think he's an all-star? If he played in the East, sure. But you're not making the West with Steph, Westbrook, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard might not ever be an all-star. Think about that. He might actually, he plays in just the right era, or I guess wrong era for his sense. He might go down as the greatest, having the highest points per game total to never make an all-star team. That's crazy to me. But we're not talking about Dame Lillard here. Drew Holiday makes sense for the Pelicans for this one reason. And I think they need to go out, and I think they really should look at a guy like Ian Clark, get another shooter in there. But Drew Holiday can shoot. He has a serviceable, he's 36% for his career. He can shoot the 3. He has a good rapport, if I'm saying that word correctly, with Anthony Davis. I think he started to get a good rapport with DeMarcus Cousins. He knows the guys on that team. He is respected on that team. He is a leader on that team. And the most important thing is he gets to be the 3rd best player. Like, I think, yes, if you have Chris Paul or John Wall as your 3rd best player, that's better than Drew Holiday being your 3rd best player. But if Drew Holiday can give them 15 to 18 points a game, 7 to 9 assists a game, and shoot almost 40% from three, I think he's exactly what that team needs. Because that's all I think John Wall or Chris Paul was going to give you. I just think there's more of a certainty John Wall or Chris Paul giving you that than there is Drew Holiday. And John Wall gives you the explosive factor of he might also, while Davis and Cousins are getting 30 points each, I think John Wall could get 30 points in that kind of game. I just really want someone else besides the Warriors to win. And I don't believe you beat them playing their style. You're not going to outshoot them. Like, we just need to get over this. You will not have better shooters on your team than Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant. You just won't. Sorry, guys. The two greatest shooters arguably in history, and maybe the greatest 6'10 and up shooter in history, you just don't get better than that. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. But I do like Drew Holiday. I think he's a very good point guard. I don't think he's an all-star in the West. I think he would be in the East. I mean, everyone's leaving the East anyway. At this point, it's LeBron versus everyone. But that team is going to go as far as Davis and Cousins carry them. So, unfortunately, yes, I do have to get rid of my hypotheticals for who could be the point guard in New Orleans or who could they get. Except there is one guy they could get. If you watch my 2K18 video, voted C, you can get me down in New Orleans, and I'll be the point guard. But until then, hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't forget, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, HardFoul Podcast. Hit me up. Please like, subscribe, support. It's been so great, guys. I got my energy. I got my passion. And I will see you guys on Monday. Let's go.